we'll start off talking about old Brycey Poo. So here is, just in case you haven't heard it, I'm sure you've heard it, but if you haven't, Bryce spoke for 14 minutes. Saturday? I think Bryce spoke Saturday or Sunday, and there was a lot of interesting stuff in there. But this is what we will focus on today.
I know you talked once since Dave made those comments in October, and then you wore that Not Elite T-shirt, taking BP one day. How much of a motivator is that to you, or has that been to you this off season?
Not really. I mean, I don't get motivated by that kind of stuff. For me, it was kind of wild, the whole situation of that happening. I think the big thing for me was, when we first met with this organization, it was, hey, we're always going to keep things in-house, and we expect you to do the same thing. And so, when that didn't happen, kind of took me for a run a little bit. So, I don't know. It's part of it, I guess. It's kind of a wild situation. That even happening. Obviously, I didn't have the year that I wanted. Obviously, I didn't have the postseason I wanted. My numbers weren't where they needed to be. I know that, and I don't need to be motivated to be great, in my career or anything else. So that's just not a motivating factor for me. For Dave to come out and say those things, it's kind of wild to me still.
All right. So just to get it off the top, whether Dave Dombrowski should have said or shouldn't have said what he said, to me at this point, immaterial. That's not really what I'm talking about right now. Mm-hmm. So, my problem with what Harper said, and Harper right now, is that he sounds like a hypocrite to me. And I'm trying to think about why this is still a conversation. And to me, it's still about money. And he sees an opportunity to have a hand over the team and make the general manager continue to look bad, and he's taking it. So here's why I think he's hypocritical. The first thing he said was he thought that Dombrowski made something that didn't need to be an issue publicly into an issue. But here we are, 5 months later, after Dombrowski apologized publicly and privately, and Bryce is keeping it going and he is making it an issue at this point. This was in October, and he is making it an issue. Now, he answered a question of media availability, but then goes on bussing with the boys, going on a podcast, and still talking about this thing. So if he didn't want it to be an issue, he probably still shouldn't be talking about it extensively. He's also a hypocrite because he said that he thinks that these things should be kept in-house. These internal matters should be kept in-house. Well, Bryce Harper, when he wanted them to get JT Realmuto, which seems like an in-house thing to me, he didn't keep that in-house. When Bryce Harper wanted them to sign Blake Snell during spring training when he wasn't signed, he wasn't keeping that in-house. When he wanted an extension a couple of years ago and he and his agent said something publicly about it, he didn't keep it in-house. So, Bryce hasn't kept things in-house either. When Bryce has wanted something, he has spoke about it publicly. And then finally, the other thing I don't buy is that he repeatedly said he's not motivated by it. He sure seems motivated by it by me. To me, he's still talking about it 5 months after it happened. He still seems pissed off about it. So if you don't want this to be a public conversation, you have every opportunity to not have it be a public conversation anymore, and he's doing it. If you think these things should be kept in-house, then you should do the same thing, but you haven't done that. And I just think, did Dave Dombrowski screw up? Yes. But is Bryce Harper continuing to make this an issue? To me, because he wants an extension and wants money, and this is an opportunity for him to put pressure on the organization, I think that's the case as well. So I just I've had enough. If you don't want it to be public, then stop talking about it. Stop making it an issue. It was in October.
Yeah.
No,
I hear you there. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. If you want it to sort of go away, or it isn't a major issue for you, then you would downplay it. I'm not saying, listen, they ask you a question, you can answer the question without going into detail, without elaborating on it as much. There's a way he's savvy enough to be able to answer this and move past it if that's what he chose to. So I agree with you there. Here's where I sort of separate myself in that agreement. I do believe he's still hurt by it. Now, some can say he's being a baby, that he needs to move on, or what have you. I would say this. We contribute to these star athletes having this sense of empowerment and entitlement. which also comes with a little bit of insecurity if they're challenged, especially by people they perceive to be in their corner or think that they're in their corner. And so he's hurt by this for sure. I'm not trying to throw a pity party for Bryce Harper. I really am not. I don't think he handled it the first time correctly. He even threw a little side thing in there that implied fans had sort of disappointed him. He was disappointed at that. I can't remember verbatim the words that he used, but I know he threw that in there along with his disappointment when he was talking about getting traded. That's what he was. He was saying, now there's trade talk.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the Phillies
in the Gelb article.
Yeah,
yes.
in the Gelb article. That's
yes.
what I'm talking about when he initially answered it. You got to move past this, Bryce. And I hope he can, but I don't know if he will, Spike. And this was the one thing that I had in the back of my mind the entire time, that he is still ticked off about this, and he's not going to let it go. So he's going to force something to happen one way or the other. One way or the other. Honestly, Dave Dombrowski may have just shortened his time here with this. Because if you're at odds with the star player, then I don't know how you resolve that. The apology didn't help. He's still talking about it, so he's still holding on to it.
Just to me, at 215-592-9494, what do you think about Bryce Harper's comments on it? He continued to talk about it, by the way, as well. We'll have more clips from that. He was on a very big podcast called Bussin' with the Boys. He continued to talk about it. It's just like, to me, this feels like something like we would crush A.J. Brown for doing. This thing is over. Whether you are hurt about it or not, this whole power play, whether it is to hurt Dombrowski's career, whether it is to get a contract, when this happened, if you remember correctly and you referenced it, he ran to Matt Gelb, gave Matt Gelb a bunch of quotes on it. Dombrowski went and publicly took it back and apologized for it, and then they said they spoke. So I just don't understand, like, what is the end game here? That's what I keep thinking. And you're right. Was he asked about it? He was, but he is also a pretty savvy media guy, as you said. He's avoided question after question after question after question. So he wanted to talk about it. Then he went and he wanted to talk about it again. And I just keep thinking, how is this helping the Phillies win the World Series?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you on that. Here's the thing. He's going to do what he's going to do individually. Bryce Harper's a great player. He's been in the spotlight his entire life. I agree with him when he says he doesn't need any external motivation to try to make him be great. You know, he may not have had the type of year that is expected of a Bryce Harper, the caliber of player that he is, but it wasn't because of lack of effort. It wasn't because he cheated the game.
No.
And that's where Dave Dombrowski was wrong at. That's where he was wrong at. And I disagree with you with the A.J. Brown thing. If the Eagles, by the way, Howie Roseman would never say something like this.
Well, but I agree
about one of his star players.
Sure, I agree there.
So, and if they were to say that and A.J. got upset by it, there would be people defending A.J. over this. Because your star players don't get treated the same way. You shouldn't call any of your players out, but let alone the face of your franchise. Like, Dave Dombrowski created this with his own comments that he had time to think about. He's also very savvy.
I agree.
As a GM and speaking with the media. So he certainly doesn't appear to speak off emotion, right? He's very calculated and measured in what he says. Is a very good speaker. Dave created this. And now they're dealing with the ramifications of it, which is Bryce has yet to let it go. It's like saying, it's like we're married. All three of us are married. By the way, happy anniversary to my wife yesterday.
Oh, very nice.
24th anniversary.
There you go.
Yeah, 24, 31 years together. I count all the years. They all count.
Yes, they do.
But we've gotten in arguments. You guys have gotten in arguments with your significant other.
Yep.
And regardless of who was right or wrong,
I was right.
You apologize about it?
Yes.
But she hasn't let it go.
Well, that's true, yes. But then if she was still bringing it up 5 months later,
it all depends on what the transgression was.
Well, yeah.
It all depends on what it was. Same thing. Like, she may have been in the wrong, apologize to you about it or me, and I haven't let it go yet. Because, you apologize, what you said or what you did still hurt me pretty more than just an apology.
Sure.
And so that's where Bryce is at. I'm with you. He needs to let it go and move on because you don't want this dragging on all season. You just don't. You don't want this to be a thing all year.
Well, then other players have to answer for it.
Yeah.
And it's, all right,
move on from it, but I do understand where he's coming from.
215-592-9494. What do you think of the Harper-Dombrowski situation?